Things have been moving so quickly with the Frenchman. My Frenchman. As soon as I see that the Frenchman is calling. Anyway, so Dad, we might be getting married.
It's been such a roller coaster.
The Frenchman's not coming. I cried for like 17 minutes.
It's just hard.
We've instituted a new policy. A don't ask, don't tell. I was like, are we in an open relationship?
Her stubbornness, her bullheadedness, those things hurt her, especially when it comes to relationships.
We've officially loosened the bonds.
Whitney Waythor from My Big Fat Fabulous Life just revealed that she's supposedly in an open relationship now, but the reveal took a weird turn when some people noticed that some things about it didn't make any sense at all, and you guys will never believe why. So guys, Whitney has been dating the Frenchman for a while now, but ever since she first announced their relationship, a lot of people have kind of been skeptical about it, and this is because she still hasn't actually officially revealed his identity. And even though we were able to figure out who this guy actually, is supposed to be a while ago, there's still very little, we know about him and their supposed relationship. And Whitney's whole thing with the Frenchman has just seemed really weird from the start, but guys, things just got even weirder because she just announced that she's supposedly in an open relationship with him. And I say supposedly because it seems like the opposite of everything she's ever wanted in every other relationship that she's ever even been in. Because she's always made it super clear that monogamy, marriage, and having kids were all super important to her, and these were often huge topics of conversation in all of her past relationships, which is why I find it so hard to believe that she'd now be fine with being in an open relationship all of a sudden. And now, this is just my opinion, but to me, it honestly sounds like they might not even be in a relationship at all, or if they are, they're at least not really moving it forward at all, because it just kind of feels like they've been walking backwards at this point. I mean, they don't seem to be making any plans to see each other again, and now that Whitney's announced this open relationship thing, I just don't know what to even make of this. I mean, I get that long-distance relationships can be difficult, but since Whitney's literally always been all about monogamy and marriage, I just don't get why she'd suddenly be okay with any of this. And if, they've gotten to a point where they just want to be with other people now because they barely ever see each other, then why keep going? I mean, to me, it would make more sense if they just broke up. And of course, I don't know, but it just seems to me like she's saying that they're still together for the sake of the show, but they might not actually be together anymore at all. Because after all, what kind of relationship is this really? I mean, if they can be intimate with whoever else they want and they never actually see each other in person, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And Whitney also revealed this whole thing in a recent episode of the show, and I honestly thought that the reaction her announcement got was pretty hilarious, because when Whitney announced that she had some big news about the Frenchman, she made this whole thing sound really weird and dramatic. And honestly, at first, I thought that maybe she would announce that they actually broke up, and I know I wasn't the only one, and some of her friends clearly thought the same, judging from their reactions, and it really felt to me like she was just trying to create some drama for TV. And I mean, I don't know, maybe she didn't do it on purpose, but the whole situation just felt kind of off and a little awkward. And before she even got the actual announcement, she did state that they were still together, but then she went on to say that they were finding it hard to find time to see one another, which was when she finally said what her announcement was. And the way she phrased it was honestly pretty funny, because she said that, she and the Frenchman have loosened the bonds in their relationship, and that they now don't have a ask, don't tell policy. And she then kind of said that she didn't know if this was an open relationship, but that she guessed that it was. And honestly, the whole thing was pretty weird, and I don't get why she didn't just say that they had an open relationship right away instead of talking about bonds and policies. And her friends seemed pretty shocked about her announcement too, which I kind of can't blame them for. I mean, they know Whitney and how she's been in her previous relationships, and I think we were all shocked when she said this. And one of her friends, Jessica, said that even though this wasn't her thing, I mean, she thought that, they had these rules set in place and it was all within parameters, then she didn't see why Whitney shouldn't have some fun. And then she then said that it could be fun to experiment and that they'd see how it works. And honestly, I didn't get the feeling that she was very confident in Whitney's decision to have an open relationship. but she was at least trying to be supportive, and that much was clear. And the funniest part of this whole moment, though, was what Hunter had to say about Whitney's announcement, because Whitney said that she was now in an unconventional relationship, and he replied that he was pretty sure that it was already unconventional before, which was genuinely just hilarious, and mainly because he was right. I mean, everything about this relationship between Whitney and the Frenchman has been pretty bizarre from the beginning, and the fact that their relationship is now an open one is honestly not even the weirdest part about this whole thing. I mean, I would say that all the secret identity stuff and the long distance thing are much more strange than their new policy. And after this whole thing first came out, I went on Reddit to see what other people thought. And one thing that they had pointed out that was really interesting is it kind of feels like Whitney maybe wanted an open relationship with the Frenchman so that she could get physical with Lenny, because Lenny is her ex who she was in a relationship with during season 4, but some of her more recent development between these two has honestly been kind of bizarre, because Whitney even said that she wanted to stay in a room with Lenny during the vacation, and even though Lenny seemed pretty unsure about this, and it seems to me that maybe that was why Whitney made this announcement about the open relationship. I mean, this is obviously just a theory, but I really thought this whole thing was just extremely weird, and I wasn't the only one, because even Whitney's uncle was confused about her and Lenny's relationship, and the whole thing just seems really uncomfortable overall. And also, even kind of inappropriate. And even if Whitney and the Frenchman are in an open relationship, I still think it's kind of weird for her to be with her ex like that. It's not like Lenny is just a random hookup. I mean, there is history there, and it seems like he might still have feelings for her, and plus, he's also her employee, and that's another thing that makes this really weird and just inappropriate. I mean, the fact that she's his boss and comes with a whole set of power dynamics that you can't just ignore, and if they get together like this, it's not just weird, but it feels like it's an ethical and legal issue, and I feel like I could, go wrong really easily. But that said, I also saw this theory about how maybe the whole thing about the open relationship wasn't even real to begin with, because a lot of people seem to think that Whitney isn't actually dating the Frenchman, and someone even pointed out that in one of the earlier episodes in the season, Lenny made a comment about how he thought she was in an open relationship, and this was a while ago, but it's really weird that he said that considering the announcement, that she just made. I mean, it could obviously be just a massive coincidence, but I don't know. I get why some people have had a hard time believing this whole thing, but what do you guys think? Did you watch the episode, and what do you think about Whitney being in an open relationship with the French man, guys? Let me know in the comments down below.